The spaceship was quiet, almost too quiet. The hum of the engines filled the narrow corridors, but even that seemed distant to Mara's ears. She had been traveling through space for what felt like days, though she had lost track of time. The stars outside the thick glass windows stretched endlessly, like scattered diamonds on black velvet. Each one reminded her of how small she felt, alone in the vastness of space. Mara had not expected to find herself here. Her mission had been simple: explore a newly discovered planet, gather samples, and report back. But when her ship had passed through an unusual storm of cosmic dust, everything had changed. She awoke to find her ship damaged and drifting toward a planet that had never been on any map she had seen. The landing was rough. The ship shuddered violently, metal groaning under pressure, but Mara had managed to secure herself in the pilot's seat. The moment the engines stopped, she opened the cockpit door and stepped out. The ground beneath her boots was soft and slightly warm, unlike any terrain she had walked on before. The air smelled faintly sweet, like flowers she had once seen in old pictures of Earth gardens. As Mara explored cautiously, she noticed the sky was an unusual shade of green, with 3 suns casting overlapping shadows across the ground. Strange plants waved gently in a light wind, and small glowing insects hovered around them. It was beautiful, yet she felt an unsettling awareness that she was being watched. Hours passed, though she could not tell exactly how long. Every noise made her heart race. She tried to recall the emergency protocols she had been trained for, but nothing in her experience matched this. Suddenly, she saw a structure in the distance. It was enormous, taller than any building on Earth, with smooth walls that seemed to shimmer. The shape reminded her of a crown, but it hovered slightly above the ground. Curiosity overpowered fear. Mara approached the structure slowly, her boots crunching softly on the strange soil. As she neared, she noticed the walls were not solid metal but a material that seemed alive. Patterns moved across its surface like living shadows. She reached out to touch it, and the surface pulsed gently beneath her fingers, almost as if acknowledging her presence. A sudden sound made her step back. It was a voice, calm yet commanding, echoing through the air without a source. Human. Mara froze. Her mind raced. How could something speak without lips, without a body she could see? She turned slowly, scanning the surroundings. There was no one. The voice came again, closer this time. Are you alone, human? Her heart pounded. She had expected many things in her journey, but she had never expected an alien to speak to her directly. She swallowed hard and answered cautiously. Yes, I am alone. There was silence for a moment, as if the question itself had filled the space around her. Then a form appeared. Slowly, gracefully, a figure stepped out from the shimmering walls. It was taller than any human, with limbs that seemed both delicate and strong. Its skin glowed faintly, and its eyes were large, reflecting every color Mara had ever seen in the sky. The figure moved with a confidence that made Mara step back instinctively. It wore no clothing as humans understood it, yet its presence was commanding and regal. The way it held itself spoke of authority, and Mara realized she was standing before a queen. I am the queen of this place, the alien said, its voice like a soft melody yet filled with power. I have waited for one such as you. Mara's mind spun. Waited for me? She asked, unsure if she was speaking aloud or thinking aloud. Yes, the queen replied. You are far from home, yet you carry the essence of your world with you. Few have come to me willingly, and fewer still have survived the journey. Tell me, human, why do you come alone? Mara tried to answer, but the words stuck in her throat. How could she explain that she had no choice, that a storm had thrown her into this unknown world, that her mission had been simple but fate had changed everything? She swallowed and said, I did not choose to be here. My ship was damaged. I did not know where I would land. The queen regarded her silently for a long moment. Her eyes were like deep pools, reflecting not only Mara's image but her thoughts. It was unsettling, yet Mara felt a strange sense of calm in the presence of such being. You are honest, the queen finally said. Honesty is rare among humans. Many hide their intentions even from themselves. You, however, are transparent. Mara felt a shiver run down her spine. Transparency. She had never been described in such a way, and yet the queen's words felt like truth she could not deny. She nodded slowly, unsure what else to say. The queen moved closer. With each step, the ground seemed to respond, glowing faintly where she passed. This world tests all who enter, she said. Few survive its trials. Many are lost, wandering until they vanish entirely. You, human, have the courage to face the unknown, but courage alone will not keep you alive. Mara's pulse quickened. Trials? She asked. What kind of trials? The Queen's glowing eyes seemed to pierce through her. The kind that reveal the essence of your being. The kind that ask who you truly are when no one else is watching. The kind that show whether your spirit can endure the challenges of life beyond your world. Mara swallowed. She had faced challenges before, but none like this. She had studied survival, navigation, and emergency response, yet nothing had prepared her for a sentient being who seemed to read her thoughts. You may choose to leave, the Queen continued, but the journey back will be perilous. You may also choose to stay, to face the trials, and discover what lies beyond the edges of your understanding. Mara looked around. The shimmering walls of the structure seemed to pulse in agreement with the Queen's words. Fear and curiosity battled inside her. Her mind raced with questions. What were the trials? What kind of world was this? And most importantly, what did the Queen want from her? I want to understand, Mara said finally, her voice firmer than she expected. I want to learn. I want to survive. The Queen nodded slowly. Then your journey begins. But first you must understand one rule. Honesty is your greatest weapon and deceit your heaviest burden. Speak truth, human, and you may endure. Speak falsehood, and the world will not forgive you. Mara nodded again, feeling the weight of the Queen's words settle over her. She had always valued truth, but now it was more than a principle. It was a lifeline. Good, the Queen said, stepping back. Then the first trial is simple yet essential. You must choose a companion. Mara blinked. Companion? I am alone. Are you truly alone? The Queen asked again, her voice echoing with a strange resonance. Look around, human. Do you feel the presence of life beyond yourself? Mara hesitated. She had felt it, a subtle awareness since stepping onto the planet. Small movements in the shadows, soft whispers in the wind. But she had thought it was her imagination. Could it be the Queen testing her? I feel something, Mara said slowly, but I do not see it. Then you must choose, the Queen said, her form shimmering brighter. You may call forth a being to guide you, or you may face the trials alone. Each path has its dangers and rewards. Choose wisely. Mara looked around, feeling the alien landscape press in on her senses. The decision seemed impossible, yet she realized she had no choice. Her survival, her understanding of this world depended on it. I choose a companion, she said finally. The Queen's eyes glowed with approval. Very well. Close your eyes and speak your intent. Let your heart guide your choice, Mara did as instructed. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and thought of someone who could be by her side. Someone she could trust even in the unknown. A figure began to take shape in her mind. A being of strength and loyalty. She opened her eyes slowly, and before her a faint glow began to form. The glow expanded, swirling into a shape that slowly became solid. A creature stood before her, unlike anything she had imagined. It had the grace of a cat, the strength of a wolf, and eyes that radiated intelligence and kindness. It tilted its head, studying Mara with curiosity. You have chosen well, the Queen said, her voice calm, but full of meaning. This companion will guide you through the first trial. Trust it, as it will trust you. The journey is only beginning, human. And remember. The Queen's voice softened but carried a weight Mara could not ignore. Every choice you make will echo far beyond this moment. Be mindful, be truthful, and your spirit may endure. Mara nodded, her companion by her side. The air seemed to shift around them, as if the planet itself acknowledged the beginning of a journey. She felt fear, but also a strange excitement. This was more than survival. It was discovery, adventure, and perhaps even understanding. The silence returned for a moment, broken only by the faint hum of the planet and the soft breathing of her new companion. Mara knew one thing clearly. Her life had changed forever, and the first trial awaited. The alien Queen's question still echoed in her mind. Are you alone, human? Mara was no longer alone, and yet the answer was only the beginning. Mara's companion padded softly beside her, each step careful yet confident. Its glowing eyes scanned the alien landscape, reflecting a mix of curiosity and caution. Mara had never seen an animal like this before. It was not entirely like any creature from Earth, yet there was a familiarity in its gestures, a sense of understanding that made her heart feel lighter. The queen had disappeared, leaving Mara alone with her new guide. The moment felt both thrilling and terrifying. Mara glanced at the towering, shimmering walls behind them. They pulsed gently, as if the planet itself was breathing. It was alive. She had no idea how or why, but she sensed that the planet watched every move she made. "Where do we go?" Mara asked the companion. She did not expect a spoken answer, yet the creature tilted its head and padded forward as if leading her. The terrain shifted as they walked. The soft, flower-scented air gave way to cooler, damp patches, and glowing plants lined their path. Strange, translucent creatures floated just above the ground, casting long shadows that danced in the three suns' light. Mara could not help but feel that each creature observed her as she passed, though none moved aggressively. After what felt like hours, they arrived at a vast clearing. In the center stood a structure unlike the first. It was circular, made of crystal-like material, and shimmered in colors Mara could not name. The surface reflected not only light but also images of Mara and her companion. She saw herself from angles she had never imagined, and even the companion's form seemed different, almost magical. Her companion stepped forward and nudged her gently. Mara realized the journey had a purpose. She was to enter the structure. She swallowed her fear and approached the glowing entrance. The moment her hand touched the surface, the structure rippled like water disturbed by a pebble. The walls shifted, creating an opening large enough for her to step inside. Inside, the air was warmer, filled with a gentle hum that resonated in Mara's chest. She could feel the vibrations along her spine, not threatening but powerful. The floor beneath her feet glowed softly, illuminating patterns that resembled maps. They seemed to shift and change, responding to her movement. Mara had never seen anything like it. Suddenly, the voice of the queen echoed through the chamber. "This is your first trial, human. It is not a test of strength, but of understanding. You must learn to read what is not spoken, see what is hidden, and trust what is unseen." Mara looked around. There was no one else in the chamber, only the glowing floor and her companion. How do I do that?" she asked. The queen's voice did not answer directly. "Follow the path and trust your companion. They will guide you if you are open to the signs. The trial will reveal who you are when all else is uncertain." Her companion nudged her again, then padded toward a corridor that opened at the far end of the chamber. Mara hesitated, but she knew she had to follow. She stepped forward, the glow of the floor lighting her way. As she walked, she noticed symbols appearing along the walls. They were not letters she recognized, but they seemed to communicate emotions, images, and intentions. Each symbol flickered with a color that made her feel joy, sadness, curiosity, or fear. Mara realized the first part of the trial was learning to understand without words. The symbols were not puzzles in the usual sense. They responded to her thoughts, her honesty, and her attention. When she tried to guess what a symbol meant, it changed, showing her another emotion. When she focused on observing rather than interpreting, she felt a connection forming as if the chamber itself was teaching her. Hours passed. Mara grew tired but continued to move forward, guided by her companion's calm presence. Occasionally, the symbols glowed brighter, revealing small paths or choices in the chamber. Some paths seemed easy, lined with soft light, while others were dark and shadowed. Her companion nudged her toward the darker paths each time, encouraging her to face uncertainty rather than choose comfort. At one point, the chamber shifted entirely. The walls became mirrors reflecting not her physical form but her thoughts. Mara saw images of herself making decisions, acting with courage and acting with fear. Some images showed her helping others, while others showed selfish choices she had made in the past. Each reflection pulsed, almost judging her. Mara's heart ached at seeing her mistakes, but she understood that the trial was not about perfection. It was about truth, she whispered softly to herself. "I am human. I make mistakes, but I learn. I try to do what is right." The companion brushed against her leg, a gesture of reassurance. Mara realized it had been guiding her not just physically but emotionally, helping her confront her own fears and doubts. As they moved deeper into the chamber, the symbols began to glow in patterns that Mara could almost predict. They showed her paths she would face, choices she would need to make, and challenges she would encounter. Some symbols were comforting, others intimidating, yet the message was clear. Honesty, courage, and trust would guide her through the trial. Finally, they reached a central platform. The companion stood at her side, and the chamber's hum reached a higher pitch. In the center, a crystal pedestal emerged, glowing with a soft blue light. Mara approached it cautiously. As her hand hovered above the crystal, she felt a warmth spread through her body, filling her with energy and clarity. The Queen's voice returned, calm and powerful. "You have done well, human. You have observed, listened, and followed truth. But the trial is not yet complete. You must now face your greatest challenge, fear." Mara's breath caught. Fear? She had faced strange planets, unknown creatures, and isolation. What could be more terrifying than being lost in the universe alone? The crystal pulsed and the chamber transformed. Shadows rose from the walls, forming shapes that moved like living beings. They whispered her name, spoke of her doubts, her failures, and her fears. The shadows took forms she could recognize, people she had known, places she had failed, moments she regretted. Each shadow tried to unsettle her, to make her run, to break her spirit. Mara felt her knees weaken. She had to fight the instinct to flee. She looked at her companion, which stood calm, glowing softly, and realized she was not alone. The creature's presence reminded her that trust and courage could overcome fear. She took a deep breath and whispered, "I am not my fear. I am stronger than my doubt. I will face this." The shadows surged, louder and more intense, yet Mara's voice remained steady. She stepped forward, each footfall resolute. The companion moved with her, circling and nudging her when the shadows tried to separate them. Slowly, the shapes began to dissolve, melting into the glowing floor. The whispers faded, replaced by a calm, harmonious hum. The chamber transformed once more. The symbols on the walls pulsed brightly, forming words she could read for the first time. They said, "Courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. Trust in truth, and you shall endure." Mara's heart swelled with relief. She had survived the first trial. She knelt for a moment, letting the energy of the chamber flow through her. Her companion nudged her again, as if reminding her the journey was far from over. Suddenly, the Queen's voice spoke again, gentler this time. "You have done well, human. You have faced fear and uncertainty, and you have trusted in truth. But remember, each trial grows more complex. Courage alone will not be enough. Wisdom, patience, and trust will guide you further." Mara stood, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. The companion nuzzled her hand, and she realized it had become more than a guide. It was a friend, a protector, and a link to this strange, beautiful world. The chamber shifted one last time, opening a doorway to a bright landscape beyond. Trees with luminous leaves swayed in a soft wind, and a river of liquid light flowed gently across the terrain. The air smelled of rain and fresh growth, a stark contrast to the mysterious, intense trial she had just faced. Mara took a deep breath. She had survived her first challenge, but she knew the journey was only beginning. The alien queen's question lingered in her mind, echoing softly, "Are you alone, human?" This time Mara knew the answer. She was not alone. With her companion by her side and courage and honesty in her heart, she stepped forward into the unknown, ready for whatever awaited in the next trial. The path ahead was uncertain, but Mara felt a spark of hope. Every step, every choice, every moment of trust would shape her journey. The world was strange, full of dangers and wonders she could not yet imagine, but she was no longer afraid, and so Mara and her companion walked together, leaving the chamber behind, stepping into the glowing landscape where the second trial awaited. The adventure had only begun, and the alien queen's eyes, though unseen, watched over them with a quiet, patient expectation. Mara stepped cautiously into the glowing landscape, her companion padding beside her with quiet assurance. The ground shimmered under their feet, soft yet firm, and the air was filled with a gentle hum that seemed to come from the very soil itself. Mara marveled at the river of light winding through the terrain. It glowed in soft blues and greens, reflecting the three suns above in mesmerizing patterns. "This place, it feels alive," Mara whispered, glancing at her companion. The creature's eyes glowed warmly, as if acknowledging her words. She had begun to understand that survival here depended not only on courage, but also on observation and trust. As they walked, the terrain changed subtly. The luminous trees gave way to crystal formations, tall and thin, which refracted light into thousands of colors. Mara had never seen anything like it. The crystals pulsed gently, as if breathing, and she realized that even the environment itself was part of the trial. Suddenly, a shadow passed over the river. Mara froze. The companion's body tensed, low growls vibrating from its throat. Across the river, a creature emerged. It was enormous, taller than Mara had ever imagined a being could be. Its skin seemed to be made of flowing liquid, reflecting the surroundings like water. It moved gracefully yet with power, its eyes glowing faintly as it regarded them. Mara stepped back, her heart racing. She had faced fear before, but this was something new. The creature's gaze was calm yet commanding, as if it could read her very thoughts. Her companion growled softly, placing itself between Mara and the new creature. The liquid creature spoke in a voice that resonated like a soft waterfall. "Human, you have passed the first trial, yet the path ahead demands more than courage. Will you cross the river, knowing the unknown waits on the other side?" Mara swallowed hard. The river was wide and she could not see what lay beyond. But she had already chosen honesty and trust, and she knew hesitation would only hold her back. I will cross," she said, her voice steady despite her fear. The creature nodded once, almost approvingly, then stepped forward. "Let the river judge your resolve." Mara looked at her companion, who tilted its head, signaling reassurance. Together they approached the riverbank. The water did not behave like normal water. It shimmered with soft light, and as Mara stepped onto its surface, it did not feel wet but firm, almost like walking on a solid bridge. The river rippled under her steps, glowing brighter where she placed her feet. Midway across, the water shimmered into a mirror. Mara saw herself reflected, not as she was now, but as someone who had made every wrong choice possible, lost, afraid, and alone. Her heart thudded, but she forced herself to focus. She whispered, "I am not those choices. I am here, I am learning. I am moving forward." The reflection wavered and faded. The river's surface returned to its gentle glow. Mara's companion padded beside her, unwavering, and together they reached the other side. The enormous liquid creature was gone, but the sense of being observed remained. Mara understood the message. The trial was not only physical, it tested the mind and spirit. The terrain beyond the river was even more unusual. Floating islands hovered above the ground, connected by bridges of shimmering energy. Mara felt her stomach twist with both excitement and nervousness. She had to reach the other side, but each step required courage and focus. Her companion leapt first, landing safely on the nearest island. Mara followed, feeling a slight lift as if gravity had shifted. She adjusted her balance, heart racing as she reached the center. The islands shifted slightly beneath her feet, responding to her weight and movements. She realized she had to move carefully, respecting the environment rather than forcing her way through. On the far side, a small figure waited. It was human in shape but made entirely of light, glowing softly in hues Mara could not name. The figure spoke in a gentle, melodic voice. "Human, the Queen watches your choices. Each step you take builds your path. Will you continue knowing the trials will grow harder?" Mara nodded. "I will continue. I am not alone." The figure extended a hand and Mara felt warmth spread through her. A vision appeared before her eyes, an image of the planet, vast and full of life with challenges hidden in every corner. Mara realized the trials were connected, each shaping the traveler to understand the world and themselves. "Trust your companion," the figure said. "They are more than guide. They are your anchor in this world. The next trial tests not only your courage but your understanding. Only those who perceive beyond the visible will succeed." Mara glanced at her companion, who had grown slightly taller in the soft light. Its eyes reflected hers, filled with loyalty and wisdom beyond words. She knew she had to observe carefully, feel the environment, and listen to instincts she had never relied on before. They moved forward, leaving the glowing islands behind, entering a dense forest of tall, crystalline trees. The air was cooler here, carrying a faint scent of minerals and rain. Mara noticed tiny creatures moving among the branches, transparent like glass yet alive with motion. Each step she took caused subtle vibrations in the forest floor, and she understood instinctively that the world was connected, responding to her presence. Suddenly, a low hum filled the air, vibrating through Mara's chest. The crystals in the trees began to glow brighter, pulsing rhythmically. Shadows stretched and merged, forming shapes that resembled past travelers. Mara froze, sensing the forest testing her perception once again. "See them as they are," the Queen's voice echoed softly in her mind. "Fear blinds the mind. Observation reveals truth." Mara focused, allowing herself to see without judgment. The shadows were not threatening. They were guides showing paths, choices, and consequences. One shadow led to a clearing, where a glowing orb floated above the ground. The orb radiated warmth and light, inviting yet cautious. Mara understood instinctively. This orb represented knowledge, the next step in understanding the world and her place within it. As she reached for the orb, a sudden darkness swept over the forest. The trees themselves seemed to shift, creating obstacles. Mara stumbled, but her companion leapt beside her, nudging her forward and keeping the path open. She realized she had to rely on both courage and trust, not just her own strength. The darkness thickened, forming walls around her, yet she could still see faint glimmers of light from the orb. She whispered, "I trust you. We will reach it together." Step by step, guided by her companion and her focus, Mara navigated through the darkness. The orb grew brighter as they approached, radiating warmth that chased the shadows away. When she finally touched it, knowledge flowed into her mind. She saw the planet in ways she had not before, the patterns of life, the connection between creatures, and the purpose of the trials. She understood the importance of balance, observation, and honesty. The orb dissolved gently, leaving Mara with a sense of clarity and calm. The forest opened into a wide plain, bathed in the golden light of the three suns. In the distance, the shimmering tower of the Queen's palace awaited, taller and more majestic than Mara had imagined. The journey had been long and challenging, but she had survived the second trial, learning lessons of perception, trust, and courage. Her companion nudged her, as if asking what she had learned. Mara smiled softly, realizing that the bond between them had grown stronger. They were partners, facing the unknown together, and the trials ahead would require that bond to be unbreakable. The voice of the Queen echoed once more, calm and commanding. "Human, you have begun to understand. You have faced fear, observed what others cannot, and trusted without hesitation. The next trial awaits. Be prepared, for the challenges will grow. Only through wisdom and courage combined will you endure." Mara looked at her companion, then at the glowing tower in the distance. The journey was far from over, but she felt stronger. Each trial had changed her, shaped her spirit, and prepared her for the mysteries ahead. She was no longer merely a traveler. She was a participant in something greater, a world that demanded understanding, trust, and courage. As they walked toward the tower, the alien Queen's question echoed softly in her mind. "Are you alone, human?" Mara smiled faintly. This time her answer was clear and certain. "Never again." Mara and her companion walked steadily toward the towering structure of the alien Queen's palace. The suns above cast long shadows across the plains, making the landscape appear both beautiful and mysterious. Every step felt heavier, not because of the distance, but because Mara sensed that the next trial would be the hardest yet. The glow of the tower ahead seemed to pulse like a heartbeat, and Mara felt her own pulse quicken in response. Her companion paused and turned its glowing eyes toward her, as if asking silently if she was ready. Mara nodded. She had grown accustomed to trusting the creature, and its presence was both comforting and empowering. She took a deep breath and moved forward, the light from the suns reflecting off the shimmering plains, creating a path that seemed to lead directly to the palace gates. As they neared the palace, the air became cooler and carried a soft, almost musical hum. Mara noticed the ground beneath her feet beginning to glow with intricate patterns. The patterns shifted as she walked, forming symbols she could not understand but felt compelled to follow. She realized instinctively that the path itself was part of the trial, designed to test not only her courage but her attention, patience, and focus. Suddenly, the ground trembled. Small fissures opened, releasing soft, glowing vapor that curled into the air like mist. From these fissures, creatures emerged. They were small, fast, and almost invisible at first, their forms shimmering like the surface of the river she had crossed earlier. They moved in unpredictable patterns, surrounding her, yet they did not attack. Instead, they tested her reaction, probing her patience and control. Mara's companion growled softly and circled her, nudging her to stay calm. Mara took a deep breath. She remembered the lessons from the previous trials. Fear weakened judgment, but observation and honesty strengthened resolve. She focused on the creatures, watching their movements, and realized they responded to her thoughts. When she remained calm, they slowed and floated gently around her. One by one, the creatures merged with the glowing patterns on the ground, forming a single, radiant path that led directly to the palace entrance. Mara followed, feeling both relief and anticipation. Her companion remained at her side, guiding her steps with quiet assurance. The gates of the palace were immense, made of crystal that refracted light into dazzling patterns. As Mara approached, they opened silently, as if acknowledging her presence. Inside, the hall was vast and filled with shifting colors, reflecting the energy of the planet itself. The walls seemed to move, creating passages and corridors that shifted with each step she took. Mara felt a strange exhilaration. The palace was alive, and it seemed aware of every action she made. A voice, calm and commanding, echoed through the hall. "Human, you have come far. Few endure so many trials, but the next challenge will test not your strength or observation, but your wisdom and heart." Mara's heart raced. She had faced fear, uncertainty, and observation trials, but a test of wisdom and heart sounded more difficult. How could she measure her own understanding? How could she prove her intentions were true? She glanced at her companion, who stood quietly beside her, its glow steady and reassuring. She drew courage from its presence. Suddenly, a large chamber appeared before her. In the center floated a massive sphere of light, its surface shifting constantly, showing glimpses of different worlds, times, and events. Mara approached carefully. The sphere's glow illuminated her face, and she saw visions reflected in her eyes. Her own life, the lives of others, moments of kindness, moments of fear, moments of failure, and moments of courage. "You see yourself human?" The Queen's voice echoed softly, though Mara could not see her. "But you must also see the choices you make and the consequences they carry. This trial is not about judgment, but understanding. What will you do when faced with impossible decisions? How will your heart guide you when wisdom alone is not enough?" Mara studied the sphere. Each image shifted quickly, like snapshots of possible futures. Some showed her helping others in danger, leading them safely. Others showed her failing, turning away when action was needed, lost in fear. She realized that the trial was teaching her to reflect on her own intentions and decisions. Her companion nudged her gently, drawing her attention to a part of the sphere that showed a distant planet under threat. Mara recognized it immediately. It was a planet she had only read about in reports, one struggling with natural disasters and scarcity of resources. The images showed two paths, one where she intervened wisely and saved many, and another where hesitation or selfish choice led to devastation. Mara's heart ached. She could feel the weight of responsibility, even though these events were not happening yet. The trial was clear. Understanding the consequences of one's choices even before action was part of wisdom. She took a deep breath and whispered, "I will act with honesty and courage. I will think carefully, but I will not let fear stop me." The sphere pulsed with brighter light, and the visions shifted again, showing moments where compassion made a difference. Mara realized that wisdom alone was not enough. A heart guided by empathy and understanding was essential. She reached out and placed her hand over the glowing surface. A warmth spread through her body, filling her with clarity and resolve. Suddenly, the chamber darkened. Shadows rose along the walls, forming shapes that reflected her doubts. Mara felt the weight of uncertainty pressing against her mind. She could sense her companion tense beside her, yet it remained calm, encouraging her silently. She closed her eyes for a moment, focusing on what she had learned: courage, observation, honesty, and now compassion and understanding, opening her eyes. Mara stepped forward, walking toward the center of the chamber. The shadows recoiled as if acknowledging her growth. The sphere of light expanded, surrounding her and her companion, and the Queen's voice spoke once more. "You have shown wisdom and heart, human. You have faced fear, observed without bias, and chosen honesty. Now you understand that every decision carries weight. The final trial will test all you have learned, and it will ask more than bravery or understanding. It will demand the unity of mind, heart, and spirit." Mara felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. The final trial. She had come so far, yet she knew this would challenge her like never before. Her companion nuzzled her hand, reminding her that she was not alone. Together they had overcome fear, uncertainty, and perception tests. Now the test of wisdom and heart was almost complete, preparing them for the ultimate challenge. The chamber began to shift again. Walls of light and shadow moved, forming a tunnel that led upward. Mara followed, feeling the energy of the planet guiding her steps. Each footfall resonated with purpose. She glanced at her companion, who mirrored her movements with grace and confidence. The bond between them had grown stronger with every trial. At the top of the tunnel, a new chamber opened. It was circular, with walls of crystal that reflected light in intricate patterns. In the center floated a platform of pure energy, glowing softly. Mara stepped forward, feeling the hum of power beneath her feet. She understood that this platform was the threshold to the final trial. "Human," the Queen's voice echoed. "Calm and deliberate, you have proven yourself through courage, observation, honesty, wisdom, and heart. The last trial will challenge the unity of all these qualities. You must face it willingly and with understanding. Are you prepared?" Mara took a deep breath. She looked at her companion, whose eyes glowed with steady reassurance. "Yes," she said firmly. "I am ready." The platform pulsed and the chamber filled with a brilliant light. Mara felt herself lifted slightly as if floating. The light revealed images of her past trials, her choices, and her bond with her companion. She realized the final trial was not a test imposed by the Queen alone. It was a reflection of her own journey, the culmination of every decision she had made and every lesson she had learned. The air shimmered and the chamber transformed once more. Ahead, a doorway appeared, leading into a space that seemed infinite. Mara stepped forward, companion at her side, ready to face whatever awaited. The final trial was near, and she felt the full weight of her journey. But she was not afraid. For the first time, Mara understood completely the alien Queen's question. "Are you alone, human?" She was not. She had her companion, the lessons she had learned, and the strength she had found within herself. And with that realization, she stepped into the infinite space before her, ready for the ultimate challenge. Mara stepped into the infinite space, her companion at her side, glowing softly and moving with confidence. The air seemed alive, humming with energy, yet it was unlike anything she had ever experienced. She felt weightless yet grounded, as if the planet itself had lifted her spirit to reveal the final challenge. Every lesson, every trial, and every choice she had made so far had prepared her for this moment. The space around her shimmered with colors she could not name. They swirled and shifted like liquid light, forming patterns that seemed to pulse with thought. Mara realized the patterns were not random. They reflected her journey, her courage, her wisdom, and the bond with her companion. Every step she took caused the light to respond, as if recognizing her presence and understanding. A voice, familiar yet deeper than ever, filled the space. "Human, you have come far. You have faced fear, uncertainty, and self-reflection. You have learned honesty, courage, observation, and heart. Now the ultimate trial awaits. Here your mind, heart, and spirit will be tested together. You must show the unity of all that you have learned." Mara's companion nudged her gently, glowing brighter. Mara took a deep breath, feeling the warmth and assurance of its presence. She understood that she could not face this trial alone, yet the creature's loyalty gave her strength. Together they moved forward, entering a tunnel of swirling light that led to the heart of the trial. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber. The walls were made of transparent crystal, revealing an endless view of stars and galaxies stretching infinitely. Floating islands of light hovered in the distance, and streams of energy flowed like rivers through the space. Mara felt awe and fear at the same time. She realized the final trial was not physical. It was about perception, choices, and understanding the vastness of existence itself. In the center of the chamber floated a massive sphere of pure energy, larger and more radiant than any object she had seen before. It pulsed with a rhythm that seemed alive, and Mara instinctively knew this sphere represented the culmination of her journey. The final challenge where all her lessons would be tested. The Queen's voice echoed again, calm yet commanding. "Human, the sphere reflects your spirit and the choices you have made. To succeed, you must step forward with clarity, honesty, and unity of purpose. Face what you fear most. Acknowledge your doubts and embrace the strength you have gained. Only then will the trial be complete." Mara felt a surge of emotion. She thought of the first moment she had stepped onto the alien planet. Frightened and alone, she thought of the river that had reflected her failures, the forest that had tested her perception, and the chambers that had taught her courage, honesty, and heart. Every trial had led to this. She turned to her companion, who looked back at her with unwavering trust. The creature's presence reminded her of everything she had learned: trust, unity, and courage. She realized that she was not alone, and that strength came from connection as much as from individual resolve. Taking a deep breath, Mara stepped toward the glowing sphere. The moment her hand brushed the surface, waves of energy flowed through her body. Visions flashed before her eyes, past choices, potential futures, and alternate paths. She saw herself making mistakes and correcting them, acting with courage and compassion, facing fear and uncertainty. Each vision pulsed with lessons learned and decisions made. Suddenly, the sphere shifted, revealing a darker vision. Mara saw herself alone, isolated, facing fear without guidance, failing to act when it mattered most. The weight of her own doubts threatened to overwhelm her. But she remembered the lessons of the previous trials: honesty, courage, observation, heart, and trust. She closed her eyes, focused on her companion, and whispered, "I am not alone. I am learning. I am ready." The sphere pulsed brightly and the darkness dissolved. Mara opened her eyes to see the energy forming a bridge of light across the chamber, leading to a radiant doorway. She stepped forward, her companion moving in perfect sync beside her. With each step, she felt the unity of mind, heart, and spirit strengthening within her. At the doorway, the voice of the Queen spoke one final time. "Human, you have faced the ultimate trial. You have integrated courage, wisdom, honesty, and heart. You have relied on trust and connection. The final judgment rests not on failure or fear, but on understanding and growth. Step through and your journey will be complete." Mara took a deep breath and stepped through the doorway. The chamber around her vanished, replaced by a soft, radiant light that enveloped her and her companion. She felt weightless yet grounded, as if all the lessons and experiences of her journey had become part of her very being. Images of the alien planet, the Queen's palace, the glowing river, and the forest flashed through her mind. She remembered the trials, the lessons, and the bond she had formed with her companion. She realized that the journey was not just about survival, but about understanding the importance of trust, courage, and unity. The light began to fade, and Mara found herself standing on solid ground once more. The alien landscape stretched before her, vibrant and full of life. The suns cast golden light over the plains, and the air smelled of fresh growth and energy. Mara felt a deep sense of peace. Before her stood the alien queen, radiant and powerful, yet calm and serene. "Human, you have completed the trials. You have faced fear, observed the unseen, acted with honesty, shown courage, and embraced heart and wisdom. You have understood the unity of mind, heart, and spirit. You are ready to continue your journey in this world, or return to your own, stronger and wiser than before?" Mara looked at her companion, who nuzzled her hand gently. She felt a profound sense of gratitude and understanding. I want to continue," she said softly. "I want to learn more and explore this world, but I will carry everything I have learned with me wherever I go." The Queen nodded, a faint glow radiating from her form. "Then go, human. The universe is vast and knowledge is endless, but remember always the lessons you have learned here. Courage, honesty, observation, and heart. These will guide you through any challenge. You are never truly alone when you understand yourself and trust in the connections you form." Mara felt a warm wave of energy flow through her. The chamber around her shimmered, then slowly faded into the bright, open landscape. She looked around, taking in the beauty of the planet: glowing rivers, floating islands, crystalline forests, and creatures moving freely. Every element seemed alive, connected, and purposeful. Her companion nudged her again, and Mara smiled. She realized that the bond between them was unbreakable. The trials had tested them, taught them, and prepared them for what lay ahead. Together they would explore this extraordinary world, facing challenges with courage, wisdom, and trust. As they walked forward, the voice of the Queen echoed one last time, soft and distant, like a gentle breeze. "Are you alone, human?" Mara smiled and answered, her voice calm and confident. "No, I am never alone." The companion's glow brightened as if acknowledging her words. Mara felt the truth of her statement resonate within her. She had faced fear, uncertainty, and her own doubts, but she had grown stronger, wiser, and more connected. She understood that strength did not come from being alone, but from the unity of courage, trust, and heart. The planet stretched out before them, full of mystery, beauty, and life. Mara knew that countless adventures awaited, but she felt ready. She was no longer the frightened human who had landed unexpectedly on this alien world. She was a traveler, a learner, and a guardian of the lessons she had earned. Her companion moved gracefully beside her, their steps in harmony, Mara's heart swelled with a sense of purpose. Together they would explore, learn, and face any challenge that came their way. The universe was vast, and the trials had only been the beginning of her journey. As they continued across the glowing plains, Mara felt a deep sense of peace. The alien queen's palace shimmered in the distance, a reminder of the trials they had overcome. Mara knew she would carry the lessons of this world with her forever, the importance of honesty, courage, observation, heart, and trust. These were the keys to surviving and thriving, not only on this planet but anywhere the universe might lead her. The suns began to set, casting long golden shadows across the glowing plains. Mara and her companion paused to watch, feeling the quiet beauty of the world around them. She realized that the trials had been more than challenges. They had been a journey of self-discovery, teaching her that she was stronger, wiser, and never truly alone. Mara took a deep breath, feeling the energy of the planet flow through her. She looked at her companion, who nuzzled her hand gently and whispered softly, "We are ready for whatever comes next." And together, they walked forward into the unknown, bound by trust, courage, and the knowledge that they were never alone. The alien queen's question, once a challenge, had become a truth Mara would carry forever. No one who trusts, learns, and loves is ever truly alone. The stars above glittered in harmony with the glowing rivers below. Mara's journey had begun as a test of survival, but it had become a journey of growth, courage, and discovery. And as she and her companion moved forward, she knew that no matter what awaited, they would face it together. The world was vast, the universe full of wonder, and Mara was ready. The alien queen watched silently, satisfied. The trials had been